Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the OK Run Show. We have probably the most comfortable episode ever, as Shawn did not sleep a ton and is dressed to take some more naps this morning. Um,
Yep.
Shawn had a long day of work and Thunder. Unfortunate day for the Thunder.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right. So today we're going to be recapping all the events of this past 2 weekends with the state meets. We're going to start off with the A2A state meet, which is actually where I was at. Um, Kicking us off, Clay McKinney, 800, 1600, 3200 meter champ in Class A. If only they would have won the 4x8, then he could have four-peated. Braden Cohen out of Watonga, 1600, 3200 meter champion and 800 meter runner up in the 2A division. Hooker, 810, 53 to win the 4x8. Mason Valerie, I can't remember how he told me to say it. 57 feet for the
Hmm.
shot put win. He also won the discus, if I'm not mistaken. Peyton Davis out of Stroud, 24.88. She ran, I believe, a bit quicker, I believe 25 or 24.5 in the prelims, but she also won the 100. And then probably the coolest thing she did all weekend was she absolutely hawked Hooker down in the 4x2. Hooker was, I believe, ranked number one in all of the relays or most of the relays. And coming down the home stretch, she was within striking distance and she ran him down. Next up, we have Lucy O'Day out of Regent, 1600, 3200 meter champion. Although the 1600 we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. Avery Lawhorn out of Chelsea, 5 feet 6 in the high jump. May Pashner out of Shattuck, 12 feet 6.5, breaks her own state meet record in the Class A pole vault. I'm trying to think, there's some other stuff I want to mention. Cameron Baggs out of Laverne won the 3200 for 2A. That is her fourth state title in a row. She won a couple in the Class A division, and then Laverne moved up this year, and she continued her winning ways. Dagan Miller got her second state championship. She was the defending 3200 meter champion in 2A, but Baggs moved up, beat her in there. But then coming back, Dagan Miller won the 1600 meter. And then the Hooker 4x8. This is the 2A girls 4x8 was something I want to touch on a little bit because it does have a little bit of a story to it. Because you read it on paper, you see, okay, Hooker girls won, and then there's a DQ at the bottom. Well, with about 250 meters to go, the Hooker girls had the lead. Pretty well looked like they had run away with it. Coming down about the last 100 meters, it looked like there was a chance that Okima could run them down because the Hooker girl was tying up. About 30 meters before the finish line, the Hooker girl went down, dropped her baton. Her baton remained on the track. Her feet did not remain on the track, but it was not consecutive steps outside, so she did not get disqualified. She was able to get back up, pick up the baton, and finish. The Okima girl, in the rush of endorphins you would get going from, all right, we're second place, to holy crap, we are now state champions, spiked the baton right before the line. She threw the baton down. The baton didn't cross the line. And how it was brilliantly explained to me by my former high school coach is in relays, they time the baton getting around the track. Relays are all about who can get it around faster, not who gets their people around faster. So dropped the baton fell behind the line, which she had to go back across the line and pick it up. And you can't do that. Apparently, that's part of the rules. Picked it up, ended up getting disqualified. And then probably the most heartbreaking detail of the whole thing is while they're announcing the medalist, they have everybody but the champion standing up there. Both the Hooker team and the Okima team are standing kind of behind the podium. And then Okima girls did not know they were disqualified at this point. They announced the Hooker girls. So that is a heartbreaking way to lose a
That's
state
so
title.
stupid, bro.
That's
They
it,
won. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I get that they tie the baton, but like they clearly won the race. I feel like there should be some kind of, just uh exception made. Because I was like, my thing is, yes, you got to be smart, but no one has ever taught me that they timed the baton.
Well, the thing is she threw her baton down. So if you were running,
Mm,
and let's think about it this way: if you were at some other point in the race, not right before the finish, and you
yeah,
just chucked your baton down on the ground, like, kind of how stupid is that? Like, hold on to your baton until you get through the line,
that is,
because it is
yeah,
relays. Like, we're relays. What matters is getting the baton around. The same thing with the 4x1 is who can get that baton around quickly. You drop a baton, the 4x1, your day's over.
yeah,
Because even though you could pick it up and you could still finish, you won't be able to, you know, get, you're not going to be able to catch back up in a 4x1 or a 4x2 or probably even a
mm,
4x4.
yeah,
And so I think they kind of had luck go their way by the hooker girl kind of overrunning herself and going down. And then they decided to drop the baton. It's like the football highlights. You see with like the guy, he's like wide receiver, he's got a
yeah.
wide open touchdown, 1 yard
No,
line, he
I
dumps
get
the
it.
ball. It's
I
the
just
same
think that's
same thing.
unfortunate because
And
like
then
they won technically,
and then talking about technical winners and unfortunate circumstances, we have to comment on Regent Prep's girls team.
Yeah, this is also stupid.
Also stupid in Shawn's opinion. I'll give you the rundown. So they have a girl, Emery Marino. Girl's a phenomenal athlete. Everything that she ran in, she either won if it was an individual event or helped her team do very well in the relays. Because of this, the points that she amassed scored enough for their team to win. However, she was entered in 5 events. She only ran 4. I will say she only ran 4. She DNS'd from the 3,200 meter. She did not start it. She started the 4x8 and ran the 4x8. She started the 800, ran the 800, won the 800. Also, their 4x8, I believe, won. She started the 16, won the 16. Started the 4x4. I believe their 4x4 was like top 5. I don't really remember where they finished. But because she was entered in 5 events, that is against the rules. Even though she only ran 4, disqualified, which means if you're disqualified, your points get taken away. And Regent Prep goes from a girls' state title on a coaching error, I will say. I feel like this is a coaching error because there's rules. And as a coach, part of your job is to know the rules. And if the rules say you cannot have an athlete entered in 5 events, and actually, I'm not sure if she was entered as a member of the relay team for the 4x4. I think that was a like switched her in. So I'm also wondering if part of the disqualification was actually from her like not even being listed, maybe even
Yeah.
as a possible alternate.
Yeah.
And then she all of a sudden now she's in it because she didn't get disqualified in these things until she stepped foot on the line for the 4x4 as like the third or fourth leg. So I think it's an unfortunate thing, but also rules are in place, and especially rules are in place this rule is in place to not overrun athletes, like,
Yeah.
because especially in your smaller schools where maybe you got one person that's just a dog, you want to run them in as many events as you can. And I mean, in Class A, she's a dog. She wins everything she steps foot on the line for. So I don't know. It's a tough situation. You hate to see it, but rules are, I hate to say rules are rules, but the rules are the rules here.
Yeah,
And so
they are.
disqualified.
It is very interesting because, yes, she broke the rules by being entered in 5 events, but she ran 4 events.
She did only run 4 events.
So that's where people were kind of arguing because it's like,
Yes.
yes, she
Yes.
broke, well, the coach or whoever broke the
Mm-hmm.
rules, but the athlete themselves
Mm-hmm.
ran 4 events. That's not
Right.
cheating to run four
Right. It
events.
is. Yeah. Correct. And so
So,
I don't know the letter of the law on this. That's why I'm like trying to be a little bit like, hey, it's,
yeah,
not going to just absolutely scold them. But if the rules somehow that broke a rule, then that's all we know because the people that actually are experts on the rules or should be experts on the rules found you in violation of that. But we'll talk about the team champions. Your Class A men, Tipton, very strong sprint contingent out of them to help them win. Texoma females won. They had like Jackie Berry did a lot of work for them. She won the 300 hurdles, I believe the 100 hurdles. She also was legs on 2 of their relays. Hooker won both the men's and the women's. I believe that's certainly not the first time they've won, but I can't remember if they also won last year. I believe their men's are back to back or like 3 of the last 4. But anyway, moving up to 3A, 4A. Demontre Patterson out of Sulphur and Gage Spencer out of Bristow. These 2 guys did a lot of work in the 1 and the 2. Demontre Patterson was your champion in the 100, 10:46. He was runner up to Spencer in the 200, 22:15. And Spencer runner up in the 100, 10:56 and won the 200, 21:51. Demarion Dean won your 800 4A, 155:18, scoring points for Heritage Hall. Jaden Rodriguez out of Bridge Creek won the 4A 1600 meter, 422:93. Zachary Williams, 9:23:75 to win your 3200 meter. Close race there with Corbin Gall, I believe, running 9:24. Ada, very strong sprint contingency, which helped them go on to win the title. Very good relay runs for them. 126:63 in the 4x2 and 320:49 for the 4x4 win.
Believe 126.63 would have put them like top 3 in 6A.
That sounds right because I think the
At least
Union's
for the
record
state meet.
isn't Union's record only like 125 or 124?
Well, yes, but
And then
at the state meet,
and I believe
Union
at
got
state they
second
ran
running
125
126
or
or
they
something.
ran 126. Okay.
Yeah. And then that
Um,
4x4 would have put them pretty high up there too.
320, I believe, would have put them like 3rd or 4th, probably.
Yeah.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't have the live results in front of me. Ty Burnett out of Kiefer, your high jump champion in 3A, 6'10". Braden Garrison out of Dewey, 64, 4 3/4. I actually kind of have a little funny story. Is so Meet of Champions happened, and Meet of Champions, I will say, needs to be great again. Used to be great. Used to be like if you look at a lot of the older records, that's where they were set because everybody would go and actually compete. But it's at a terrible time of the year for people to actually go 72 hours after the big school state meet. He went and threw 60 feet. And, because 60 feet's a big barrier to break in the shot put. So I posted it on our story and he stood up and was like, yeah, not the result I wanted. I was like, if you're just not satisfied with a 60-foot shot put throw, which I think only 2 or 3 guys this year in Oklahoma have even thrown, says something about him and how good he's been throwing this year. Helen Olszewski out of 3A Cassidy is your 100, 200 meter champ. Not super shocked there. Same thing with Lily Ray out of 4A, 100, 200 meter champion as well. Kenzie Riedenauer, 4A, 1600, 3200 meter champion. JC Hammond, 5'10" for Plainview, 4A win for the girls' high jump. I believe that puts her at number 1 in the entire state this year. Kat Meacham out of Clinton, 153.08. And then Tylee Dotson, 45 feet 6 in the shot put. Shawn, your favorite question in the world. What stuck out to you?
I gotta go with Demarion Dean. He just wanted it more.
Did he? Did he just
He
want it
just
more?
wanted that 800 more, man. I think that Demarion Dean at a Heritage Hall ran a great race. 155.18.
How much, in your expert opinion, does wanting it more affect race outcome? Like, like maybe like a percentage. Like, how big of a percentage of the pie does it
oh,
matter?
I don't
Training is a percentage, maybe your nutrition, maybe your sleep. How big of a piece of the pie is wanting it more?
maybe like 15.
15%.
Maybe.
Hey,
I don't know.
hey, if Super Shoes give you 4%, that's
That's
pretty
a
big.
hard that's a hard question. I I think wanting it more has to go into your mindset. And when somebody really does want it more and has a good mindset going into the race, that can greatly affect the way that they run. And I think it's harder to break a guy who wants it more than you because you can do everything you can. You can now, if you're just like way more talented and way better than the dude, obviously you're gonna beat him. But like if you guys are pretty evenly matched and you're throwing every single kick you can at him, but then he just keeps answering and he wants it more, it's gonna be hard to beat him.
Wise words out of Shawn.
Hmm. And I'd also say that the 422.93 and 923.75 are pretty solid times for a 4A distance. I mean, I think all across the board. I don't remember the last time that we've had
In 4A, probably
a
Zach Black.
4A, especially that 2 mile, because
It'd
there
be
was a
Zach
bunch
Black.
of dudes that ran fast that 2 mile.
Yeah, your last person to run that fast is the guy that holds the meet record. It's Zach Black out
Yeah.
of Sallisaw.
So
Um,
that's awesome to have not just like 5A, 6A,
mhm,
like it has been these last few years, be pretty deep at distance. It seems like 4A is pretty deep as well.
mhm.
So
Let's talk a little bit about at least mention the team champions here. 3A men's were Marlowe. 3A women's was Washington. 4A men was Ada. And then the 4A women's was Douglas. Moving up to 5A, 6A, both Shawn and I were at this, so we're probably going to talk a
mhm.
little bit more about some of the happenings. And
It was
the sheet
lit.
I have in front of me has quite a bit more on it.
I will
Um,
say though, I've never been to a meet where the officials are so on top of it. Pretty pretty
mhm.
impressive.
Their
I'm gonna
state
be
meet,
honest.
they're on top of it. They're almost too on top of it for us taking pictures. Because I think so I handed the camera off for a bit to Nick because he was just more comfortable shooting pictures.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, man, I had some really cool shots." And I think it was the men's 800. So if you go look at the photo album I posted, there's not a lot about the 6A men's 800-meter race, like pictures. It's because he had a lot of probably really good pictures of the last like 20 meters, but then an official stepped right in front of him. And so like half of them you couldn't even see who was like you could see like their leg or something. And so I'm like seeing that like dang it, dang it. And so like whenever I made the Instagram post, I was like, well, I want to put Joshua Ramage in there because
Hmm.
of that, but I didn't have a good picture of him during the record. And so
That'll do it.
that yeah, they were almost two on top of it. But anyway, talking about some results here. Kyler Brown out of where's he out of Booker
Booker
T?
T.
Booker T?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5A, 100, 200 champion. Oh, there it is. It's written at the very end. Um, the Swiss Army knife, Cooper Wakely, won the 200, 21:33, second in the pole vault, anchored their winning 4x2,
Hmm.
led off their 4x4, which did not have their best day. Ended up finishing like sixth or something. Tristan Haynes out of Carl Albert, 47:24. Really great
That's so
race.
fast, bro.
Really great race there. To also great race with Elijah Green. Elijah
Yeah.
Green next year is going to play football at Tulsa.
And I think he ran
So
like 47.3.
right. So got to give a shout
How
out to
is
both of
40?
those guys.
I think 47.2 might be the fastest time we've had
This year, I believe
since.
so.
I mean, did anybody run faster last year?
We had the kid out of Stillwater who was half a second off the state record.
I think this kid was too.
So it might be close. I think it was 47 low as well. Because
Hmm.
the record's like 46 mid to high, like
I think it's
46.
46.8, but I might be
Yeah.
wrong.
Might have to look that up. Um, might be a little bit of a storyline to talk about in
Yeah.
like a recap. Uh, Joshua Ramage, state record 151.35. Had some good 800-meter runners in the past few years, but nobody has gotten around the record. And certainly nobody has broken the meet record, running 151.35. Sam Freeman, kick of the year right here. 4:20:01 to win the 5A 1600 meter, taking down obviously your heavy favorite Trey Baker, who won your
I looked at
800.
his stats
Mm-hmm.
on the fastest he had ran this year was like 4:26.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Six
just
second
what a
improvement.
monster performance, man. That's awesome.
Well,
To
I
see.
remember through the year, I kept seeing that Booker T's 4x8 had like run some like pretty like sub 8:10 marks.
Yeah, yeah.
Kept seeing him, kept seeing him, kept seeing him. And then they'd do good like the 8 or the 16. Um, Hold on for dear life here. I'm about to sneeze. All right.
Oh yeah.
We're back. We're back, baby. We definitely have Ebola. Um, but yeah, big kick to Trey Baker, you know, valiant performance all weekend.
Yeah.
He 3,200 champion, pretty easily handled that one. Gets to the 4x8, gets the baton well back, probably not even in the medal conversation. Got him up to like fourth or fifth, right? If I'm
I, I
so
believe so.
big
Yeah.
leg out of there. 800 ran 152, which is a PB. And then, 1600, he's gassed. He's been giving it everything, 3 events already this weekend. And Sam Freeman saw him kind of tying up in that last lap and went for it. Had to pass up Carson Bird to do so and went on to become a champion. So that's a heck of a run. And I believe he's a junior.
Nice.
I believe he
Nice.
does have more time. Speaking of big performances, Brody Woodcock all weekend, 1600 meter, 3200 meter champion, runner up in the state record 800. That's absurd because most years he would have won that 800. It took a state record to hold him off. Now their 4x8 didn't live up to probably their 750 billing, but hey, 750 is a big mark and it's hard to replicate. Um, Trey Baker winning the 32 800 second to 16, got that one. Dean McCune, 300 meter and 110 hurdle champ, I believe, state lead this year, 14-0 in the 110. 300 hurdled. I think he just took care of business. Now I have to give some props to Sam Strauss. He
Hmm.
tried to take it. He tried to take it and he made it fast, went out hard. But then Dean McCune managed to run him down over the last couple hurdles. So valiant effort out of Sam Strauss. Union sets state record in the 4x1, runs very close to the 4x4 state record, but did get the meet record. They both
Yes.
were under the old meet records, taking their own meet record in the 4x1 by 1/100th of a second, and then the 4x4 smashed it. So now they have 4x1, 4x2, 4x4, at least state meet records, very close to the outright state record in the 4x4. And do
Hmm.
they lose anybody of this relay?
Um,
Because
I think they might lose one.
I think that do they lose Devin Jordan? Is he a senior?
I can look into it. Um,
Look, look at
thing
because
about Union though is they
they're gonna
probably got
reload.
two dudes that didn't run that can run 49. So that's just I don't think it's gonna
Yeah,
matter.
right. But still, I mean, even if they bring back 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 4,
Yeah.
that's at least 50% of the way there. You
Hmm.
know. Also, give it up to Evan Memorial, 4x8, 7:49:33 state lead this year. Now puts them, I believe, third all time, second all time, whatever Deer Creek was.
Hmm.
Kellen Rutledge out of Blanchard, 6'8", 5A state champ in the high jump. Derek Cornegay, Cornier, I don't know. Eisenhower, 6'8", also state champion, but for 6A. Caleb Barnett wins the 100 and the long jump. This guy, it always seems like somebody's going to beat him. And during the races, it always looks like, hey, someone's pulled ahead. And then somehow he pulls it out, and I have no idea how. Wesley Turner out of Bartlesville, 15-6. He's a freshman winning your state pole vault championship.
That's
Um,
wild.
he is just a freshman. Big pole vaulting family, I hear. Like they're super dedicated. I think they have a pit in their backyard, train very diligently. Jack Keith, Collinsville, 183.2 and 62 feet. First in the disc, 183. Obviously, if you threw a shot put that far, I want whatever he's taking. And then 62 feet for the ace shot put. which I believe puts him number 2 this year.
Mhm.
Jordan Atkinson, honestly, I think one of your front runners for MVP, I'd say. 100, 200-meter champion, also ran some big legs for them on the 4x1 and 4x2. She ran 11:74 and 23:75. I want to know, I think Lily Ray snuck under 24 in like a summer meet last
Mhm.
year. I'm not sure, but I think that has to be the fastest time since whenever the state record was set. And honestly, the meet record might have been last
2021,
year. Was it?
I think.
Wait, what is it?
I think it was 2021 by her
2021.
sister.
Is it actually? Is it her sister?
The last name said Atkinson, so I'm gonna,
I
and it
believe
was
they're
from Mustang, so
from
I'm gonna,
doing my like, I put out the story question of like, hey,
yeah.
who should be these awards? The Mustang coach, sprints coach, maybe the whole coach is Atkinson. So I'm wondering if it's like
Oh,
family thing there.
might
Um,
be, yeah.
Amira Woods out of Durant wins your 455-1.
That's crazy.
Bella Nelson narrowly misses the state record yet again. She narrowly missed it last year. Narrowly misses it, but by a slimmer margin this year. Runs 209.59. Also doubles back to win the 1600 meter. Jinx 4x8, who I didn't. Someone mentioned this on our story. I didn't have them as one of my picks to win the 4x8 girls. I kind of thought they were like the next tier down of like winning. I thought it was like Edmond Memorial before I knew the one girl was hurt, and Edmond North because they had run far and away quicker than everybody. But Jinx is your state record holders. They've had a long history of being good at this event, and they find a way. They win it 9:20:04, and then they also chase down run by Rachel Cornell to run 3:51:57. Cassidy Watkins, another kind of Swiss Army knife for 20 feet 1 to win the long jump. Cloutier wins the pole vault in breaking her own state meet record, 12 feet 8. I believe Cassidy Watkins also ran the open 400, was in the final there, plus relay legs for him in like the 4x4 and I believe 4x2. Cloutier also scored points in the long jump for them. I believe she was like 5th. Plus, I don't know if she runs relay legs for them at all. But still, like, lot of points. The Mustang girls were your team champions in 6A, and I think pretty well dominated it. 122-21 was the final score. Union boys pulled away with it in the 4x4. They had a 6-point lead going into the 4x4 and just ran away with it. 120, I believe. Next closest was BA, which around 100 points. 5A men, it did come down to there was only a fractions of a point separating Carl Albert and Lincoln Christian. It was whoever finished first in the 4x4. Well, Carl Albert had run 3:18 this year. They took care of business. They won it to be your 5A men's champion. And then I have to give a shout out to Lincoln Christian. They got private school ruled, which you can debate whether you like or don't like the private school rule. They got moved up from 4A to 5A. Well, they answered and they end up winning on the women's side, runner up on the men's side. That's pretty impressive for your first year in the division. Regardless of what division you're going up from to a next division, oftentimes it is harder to win. Whether you're
Mm.
going from 2A to 3A, it's harder to win 3A than it is to win 2A, at least as a team. Some events may be different. Same thing is true as you go up. Going from 4A to 5A, it's tougher. I joke that the even number divisions are harder than the odd number divisions. Like they're always just better. Like 6A, 4A, 2A are better than A, 3A, 5A or whatever. But still, it's hard to win. They got done as a team. A lot of big runs out of their girls. I mean, they won the 32, the 16. I don't believe they won the 800. No, they won the 800.
Mm.
So they swept the distance events, which impressive in any division to be able to do that. Shawn, kind of what stuck out most to you, 5A, 6A, meet? There's definitely stuff we missed, like Libby, Libby Jaquez out of
Yeah.
Moore, absolute specimen of a human being. She wins the shot put. Impressive, right? You're a state champion in something. Well, she also ran 25.5 in the 200
Mm.
and was on the 4x4, like was like their third leg of their 4x4. I was like, that's just
Yeah,
impressive
that's wild.
all around. And I believe she probably, had I been paying attention, probably ran on like their 4x1 or 4x2 early in the meet.
All
But
right.
Shawn, give us your takes.
Um, Open four. There were two athletes in 5A that ran sub 48, and there were two or three in 6A that ran sub 48. That's pretty cool. We don't usually have that many sub 48 performances in the same meet.
Correct.
Um, I would say that open 800 was crazy. Um, what a run, first off. Um, he's not a sandbagger, tell you that. He's by far he's the best 800 in the state. I don't think it's crazy to say he's the best 800 runner ever in our state, but that's tough to say. But he does hold the best time ever. So
He's at least the fastest.
he's at least
You
the
know,
fastest. I
you
don't know
could probably
about
make some debates on like someone
yeah,
was more successful, won more,
exactly.
whatever. But yeah,
Exactly. But in terms of speed, fast, he has it.
yeah,
We already talked a lot about that 5A 16. I think Brody Woodcock, um, it's really interesting to put him up against former Deer Creek athletes and see where he ranks. I think he has a case for being the best,
I agree. There's at least a case to make him.
but you've got a lot of guys that, you know, have had very successful high school careers at
Mhm.
Deer Creek. But that's a conversation that would be interesting to have because I think PR wise, he has it. Let's see. I would say that the 4x8 running 7:49, I think that's the fastest we've ever seen someone run since the state record. I can't confirm that, but
I believe it's number
it's
two all
gotta
time.
be. It's
Hmm.
gotta be.
I believe it's number two all time.
Uh-huh. And then the 800 state record, that's gonna get broken next year. She's gonna do it. There's no shot that you
Yeah,
that you
she's
get
gonna.
that close twice and then you don't
Right.
do it. Now the 1600s, I don't think that's getting touched.
Wait, what is the? It's 53, right? 453.
449
44. Oh, is it 449?
from Peyton Hinkle. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
not
Oh,
getting
I
touched,
was
in my
thinking of
opinion.
what Ali Ryan ran because
Yeah,
I
so it's
remember when Ali Ryan broke
mm,
whatever the old record was, which I believe was held by Cheyenne Walden.
mm,
Um, so when Ali Ryan broke it, it was the same weekend as our like regional meet that year, and my like one of my high school teammates who ended up going on to Rogers State, Jackson.
mm.
Jackson won our regional 1600 meter in like the pretty much the exact same time she ran. It was like so funny. I was like,
Yeah.
hey man, you almost got beat by a girl. But he's like, I don't
Yeah.
care. Like,
I think that 800's going down, but that
I
16, I
believe,
don't.
yeah.
I
16 is gonna be
just
tough.
449 is very fast.
I think I don't know, because like what she ran last year, her PB, which is like was it 456, 455?
Something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere in there. She ran that last year at Festival of Miles.
Hmm.
If she goes up to Festival of Miles again this year, who says she doesn't run like, 453, and then all of a sudden we're
Yeah.
like, crap, she might do it,
Maybe
you
so,
know?
man. Maybe
Maybe she
so.
won't do it during the regular season. Maybe it'll be, postseason next year. But at that point, she's going to be preparing to go on to college, so she probably won't run maybe as much.
Hmm.
Just focus on training for college. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
will say, Bella Nelson, although she doesn't race well, like doesn't race a lot, when she does race, it's worth it. Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
goes out, she puts up a big performance, and that's kind of the one knock we always kind of had for her on like our subjective rankings of why like oh put Gwen Myers up above her or something is because they were always going out consistently throwing up a lot of stuff where she was like she picked her shots And when she shot it, it was going in every time. So hey,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to her and shout out to Isaac Kruger for having 12 toes.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. I wonder if that's
Crazy
like
stuff.
he's a pretty good like 800-meter guy. I wonder if that's like the key to his speed.
Maybe
What do
it
you
is.
think? What
Yeah.
do you think, Shawn?
I think it helps.
Anyway,
More traction on the track.
mhm. Shawn, anything stick out to you in we'll go to the women's side sprints. You got anything on the women's side sprints? Because I think I have something.
I know that open 400 in the 5A. I remember watching that and she took it out hard.
She goes out hard.
And
Yes.
I thought she was gonna like drop at like 50 meters to go, but then she just found a way to cross the line. Like, that's crazy.
Hmm.
Because 55.13 is legit.
Hmm.
Like
Oh yeah.
that's fast, man. Like I think the
That's
next fastest was like 56 or 57, which is also crazy.
right. Um, Another thing I think we should touch on Putnam City, Kalen Bratton, 100,
Hmm.
200, runner up, freshman.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
absurd. So she's got obviously some more years, and it took, Jordan Atkinson having a pretty phenomenal state meet, running 11.7 and 23 point to beat her. So that's absurd, and I think she's gonna have probably a pretty historic career. If all things play out as they should. I mean, injuries and stuff obviously can happen, but I think that's something that we're gonna be watching a lot of over the next few years. Is the progression there? Nicholas Chu, got to talk about our national leader, or at least former national leader. Not sure if he still holds it. Only had to jump like 23 feet to win. So, when we
Mm.
see 23 feet, normally we're like, holy crap, that person had a day. But when you're a 25 feet jumper, we don't even put it down on the paper. But
Yeah.
I believe if I was talking to some people from Elgin when I was taking pictures of the long jump, and they were like, yeah, he I think he banged up like his hamstring or something, some little injury he had. And it's like, yeah, he's just coming out here, he's going to try to win it. And then I think like his first jump, he won it. And it was like, all right, cool. This is nice. Um,
Imagine doing that. Imagine like
Being
jumping
able to
for
kind
like
of just limp
half
it
a
into
second
winning. Yeah.
and then you win state.
Right. Imagine being that dominant in an event that you can just kind of like, all right, I'll just, yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
nobody's going to touch me. I'll just, you know, because pretty much any other event at 6A, you're not going to be able to do that. But he's that, like, the only other person is maybe Cloudier in the pole vault. It was like she could have some little like nagging injury and
Hmm.
still probably vault higher than everybody else because I think the next closest is like 11 feet,
Yeah.
11.6. So I think, if she can clear that with even like a little, maybe a little injury. I'm trying to think if there's really much else that stuck out to me. 4x2 broken arrow to beat
Yeah.
Union. Like that's you gotta at least give them a mention on that
Hmm.
because that's no joke taking down the outright state record holders.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now I will say I did hear one of them mention something like, "Oh, that was dumb," and maybe it was one of the Union
Dumb to
guys.
win the 4x2?
No, Union guys. No, they said like something was done. They were like a bit frustrated. I think it had to do with like a decision that the coaches made, either
Oh.
on relay order or maybe
No,
like relay legs. Do you know? Do
they
you know
took out
more?
one of the main 200-meter guys that was with them when they set the state record and they put on Dejon Gaines out of their 400
Mm,
guy.
okay, because I didn't know what the reason was and I didn't look it up. I figured it was something like that, but they were like, "Dang, that's the dumbest thing dumbest decision Dial's made." Obviously, they end up winning the whole state title as it is, but
Yeah,
upsetting
it
when you're
probably
like,
wasn't dumb since they won the state title,
yeah,
but
it wasn't dumb in the long run, but also like if you're on that 4x2 and you're like,
oh
man, I
yeah.
want to win a 4x2 state title, and then we lose because we took out one of our guys. Now, taking out that guy, allowing him to maybe run a different event and score more points may have been the difference of the reason that they won. Granted, they won by
Mhm.
like 20 points, so probably not, You're not gonna make a 20-point swing moving a dude. Um, but still, that's obviously frustrating at the moment, but then in the long run, they still kicked ass in like everything. Four
Yeah.
by one dominated, 4x4, nobody could touch them. Like all season, it's like, oh, at least Broken Arrow will be kind of close, like within a second or two. Broken Arrow didn't have the greatest run in the 4x4, ended up
Mhm.
fading, I believe, to fifth or sixth. But then again, that's 6A state for you. Crazy, crazy stuff can happen. The Edmond North boys, apologies that Shawn and I never thought you guys even had a chance in the 4x8. But Deer Creek, Owasso, Edmond Memorial, all three of them had run so well this year, or like they'd run well enough that we felt like they were a tier
Yeah.
above. And then throw Zach Rutherford on there, probably throw another guy on there, and then they all of a sudden, hey, they're 4x8 state
Hmm.
runner up. So got to give them some props there. So is there anything? What was any kind of big? What was your favorite kind of thing from the season? Like favorite maybe storyline that happened? Oh, we didn't even mention. Pause before we get to whole season. We didn't even mention Kayvon Newbine winning, reclaiming the title, which is it's a whole story in itself because she was the champ in 2022. Last year, she lost the title at the line. This year runs
Uh-huh.
13-7, which I believe is the meet record, and ties the outright state record. I'm not mistaken, and reclaims the title, which is a whole like that's like really cool storyline, honestly. Plus, great race because it's close all the way through, and honestly, you could have flipped a coin before the race started and had just as good odds of who was going to win it. So, Shawn, maybe throughout the season, what kind of stuck out to you?
Um, I would say the 800 meters.
Is that your favorite bit from the season? Why
Yes,
why would you say the 800 meters kind of sticks out to you?
because it was deep,
Was deep.
and I think there was a lot of athletes that could have won the 6A 800.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the 5A, there was Trey Baker had to run 152
Yeah,
to
Aiden
win.
Sager, and then the other kid, I
Yeah.
can't remember who was third, but
So like
mm-hmm.
even then when everybody kind of thought Trey Baker was gonna blow it out of the water,
Right.
the kid has to run 152 to win. So then you had 4A, which was 155 to win. I just think that the 800 was maybe the most competitive event of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some controversy at John Jacobs, which kind of heated things up a little bit because some dude wanted to call out Joshua Ramage, which is dumb, but whatever. And then um, that kind of set the scene, which was cool.
Okay. I put out under the story for nominations of who should win certain awards, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna ask you who you think should just win them.
Put me on a spot here, but
Put you on the
I'm
spot,
gonna try my best.
but okay, I want a men's and a women's at least for the MVP. Who's your MVP this season? Most valuable. Take this person off
Mm.
their team. Their team is completely different, which I feel like should be the definition of MVP. Like you take them off, they make such a big difference for their team. Also, they must have great performance too.
Are we talking about all classes?
All classes, all classes, but also you have to also say like yes, winning like Brody Woodcock winning 3 events in 6A and running the times he had to run to win them
Yeah.
is worth more than I love Clay McKinney, but Clay McKinney ran like two
Yeah.
flat, 430, 10 flat. Like, you know, it's worth more. There has to be some worth to that, to state records, to, state records are worth something. It's like, who's the best? Who's the best? And if you took them off their team is nothing, you know? Who makes such a big difference?
I'm gonna say Cooper Wakely,
Okay.
but I don't think his team becomes nothing if he's not there.
Well, right. There'll still be something, but
Because BA is a good team, but I would say Cooper Wakely because
they look significantly
when you
different.
perform high and field and you perform well in sprints,
Mm-hmm.
that's really tough.
I think the main other person you could argue for is Brody Woodcock.
Yeah, I almost picked him, but I kind of want
It's a
someone
tough
different.
one. It is a tough one.
Hmm.
They're kind of both great, obviously both great athletes.
Yeah.
But you take Woodcock off, Deer Creek scores so much less points.
Yeah.
You almost like don't even really mention them. They're 4x8. You almost stop thinking about them
Hmm.
being a factor. You'd be like, oh, I mean, they'll be okay. They'll probably medal, but they won't be a high medal. So I mean, that's another one. Okay, women's MVP. Do you have a person that you're like, take this girl out, who put up like an impressive season altogether? Take them out of their team's worse. Um, because it's also like who just had like impressive performances throughout the year. Someone that really just sticks out. Like who's the best girl in the
Yeah.
state outright
Um,
across all events?
I'm gonna say Jordan Atkinson.
And I think that's a fair pick. I believe that's a fair pick.
Yeah.
Um, I won't make you do most improved because I don't even have the stats of who did what
Yeah,
last year.
I don't know.
I'm
And I
not
could probably like spitball and see like get something, but
I'm not gonna make you try to figure that out. A lot of people put up cases for different people that I didn't even consider. Like even Joshua Ramage
yeah.
was like, I think he was something like a 158 guy last year or something.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that. Cloutier wasn't as good last year. Then obviously state records this year. But yeah, but I do want kind of your rookie of the year, your freshman of the year. Who is your kind of freshman of the year? And you don't have to do one man, one woman. You can do just one if you want. Freshman of the year.
Um, I'm blanking on her name. The one that got second in the 100 meter and 200 meter.
Oh, Kaylin Bratton.
Yes,
I
her.
think Kaylin Bratton has the strongest argument. I think
Hmm.
arguments could be made for uh there's a kid out of Moore in the 400 men's who's ran like 48 something. Ran a pretty stiff, he's got a strong conversation. I think Ty Brooks
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of
that's a
Lincoln
good
is
one.
another like strong contender. I don't think there's anybody else off the top of my head that I'm like they should definitely have because like 4A, 3A were dominated by upperclassmen. There really wasn't anybody in those divisions. Um, MVP is the hardest because I feel like there's like 10 people you could argue for.
Yeah.
But I think they're like, at least on the men's side, there's really two. Women's side, there's probably like three or four. And funny enough, I think three out of those four could be Mustang girls.
Hmm.
Cassidy Watkins, you could argue with her long jump performances. I mean, she's nationally ranked in the long jump. Cloutier, nationally ranked in the pole vault, also scores points in the long jump. Watkins also scores in the 4 and like runs relay legs for them. Jordan Atkinson, you can obviously make a big argument for. Do you have a coach of the year? Maybe that's a tough one because like you don't always know, and maybe it's like, hey, this event group for this school did super well. Whoever their coach is, if you don't know the name, or you can just pick like Dial. Who
Booker
has
T
Booker T's coach?
or Dial, not Jinx Dial, not that guy. Him Dial out of Union High School.
Yeah, I think, and what's crazy is Tim Dial had more responses to the Instagram story in favor of him from people who aren't necessarily like union people. And I think that speaks volumes to like other coaches were like, hey, you got to give it to him. The state records that his boys set, think about in the relays, all the records those guys set. Plus, you go back to back in 6A, the hardest division to go back to back in. So I think there's very, very strong argument to be made for Dial. But we'll see. I'm gonna make a like Google Doc because I realize it's gonna need to be more than 4 people, especially for like MVP.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to do that, and I'm gonna try to figure out a way that I can put together something of like, hey, here's some of the stats on some of these people because you're not gonna know everybody and their accomplishments. So I think like, hey, this is why this person has an argument, especially for like
Hmm.
most improved. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see who the people pick, and then I think would be really cool and some good summer content. This is a everybody's getting a little inside baseball of the mile split thought processes. Do like article type interviews with them, or if they're interested, podcast type interview, whatever they like. I
We've
think
got
article
some
interviews,
cool content coming out this
oh,
summer.
for
We got a lot
sure,
of historical content
for sure.
content.
I just think like
So if you
whoever,
want parents, if you want your kids to still get taught over the summer and learn, we'll teach them some Oklahoma history.
what year was Oklahoma? What year did we become a state?
Oh boy. 1906.
Close. You're actually really close. I believe it's
It's a
1907.
it's '07. I thought it was
It's
'06 or
1907,
'07.
or yeah, yeah.
Is
What's
it?
what's
Yeah, it's '07, isn't it?
it's
Yeah.
07? It might be '08 now that I think about it. Now I'm blanking on history facts. Um,
When did when what day did JFK get shot?
I don't know. It is 1969.
Wednesday.
Was it a Wednesday?
I think.
All right. Who shot JFK?
Lee Harvey Oswald or the CIA or the mafia or or
Did he act
uh
alone?
Cuba, but it was probably Lee Harvey. Historically, it's Lee Harvey Oswald. Who shot Lincoln?
John Wilkes Booth, but that one's not as debatable.
Unfortunately, that is not as debatable.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do.
Kind of boring. Let's see.
Less tomfoolery happening in those days.
Yeah, hold on. I'm cooking up some. Mm, what year was Joe Biden elected vice president?
Vice President, 2008.
Hmm. Hooray. What year did Michael Jordan win 72 basketball games in a season?
Ooh, that was like 89,
No, no. 19,
92.
1996.
That was 96.
72 and 10.
I thought it was during their first like three-peat, which was like the late 80s, early 90s.
Who is the GOAT of NBA basketball?
Honestly, it gets harder by the year to like.
Answer.
I like to pick Jordan. I like to pick
That's a good
Jordan.
answer.
I like to pick Jordan, but like there's a super strong argument for LeBron.
There is a strong
There's a
argument.
super strong.
Personally, I'm gonna pick Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Personally, he's the best player to ever live.
It's a hot take. That's
Okay,
such a hot take.
one more question for you.
Okay, one more. And
On In the early 1990s on the Chicago Bulls, who was the primary backup point guard to Ron Holland? To who was Ron Harper's backup point guard?
who's Ron Harper's backup point guard? Was it Steve Kerr? Steve Kerr was a shooting
No.
guard. Steve Kerr was a shooting guard, wasn't he?
Yeah. It would have
Um,
been either John Paxton or BJ Armstrong.
this is John Paxton.
It was one of those two.
No, I thought it was
But
like I
like
thought you
probably
had to give
both of
me
them at
multiple
some point,
choice.
yeah.
I thought you gave me multiple
Ball
choice.
knowledge.
Oh, no.
We should do a podcast where it's just ball knowledge.
Ball no.
But
Oh, we
like
should
basketball ball
let's
knowledge.
let's let's do that. and then I'll just sit there and like read questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come up with a bunch of questions because I used to have a lot of ball knowledge. I used to watch a lot of NBA basketball,
That's valid.
but bit out of practice these days. But I think we could get Trey Baker is super invested.
I will win. Trey Baker holds nothing on my ball knowledge. But it can't just be current basketball. It has to
No,
be
no, no. It's not
like
current. It will
all
be.
time. But it
We're
can't be some
talking.
stupid stuff because sometimes like I'll go on Google and I'll do like a quiz for basketball and it'll be like, who was the owner of the Chicago Bulls? And oh no, sorry, who was the owner of the like, you know, Los Angeles Lakers when they were first a team in the 40s? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't do something super hyper specific. I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
something like that. It's like who is the franchise leader in assist for the Seattle Supersonics in 1983? It's like what? I don't know. I don't fucking know. Yeah. I believe that's it for us, unless we're gonna sit here and ramble more. So thank you guys for following along this season. We'll
Yes,
put out a lot more,
it's been real.
put out some content over the
Been
coming
so
months.
real.
Gonna be putting out a lot of content, but I think we should whoever wins, so that there actually is something to go along with winning these awards, and it could be like a recurring thing every year. The winner of the postseason awards, I think we got to do an interview with them, probably
How
on
about we put
articles.
some kind of like uh oh, it's a hard word, incentive. Um and we do if you win, you get some candy.
Yeah, if you want, I guess we can do that.
Yeah, bro, we got to get the people
But I'm
something.
saying it goes with our theme of
And,
like, hey,
and
we're trying
and
to
like I can
educate the
afford candy.
children. But like,
But we're educating children and giving out candy.
Shawn drives a white van, by the way. No, he doesn't drive a white van, to my
I actually
knowledge.
do drive a white van for work.
Oh, do you?
Sometimes, yeah. I whip that thing. It's fun.
Ooh,
Yeah, bro.
yeah, I don't. I'm
A
gonna be
lot of
living
heavy
the
lifting up in that sucker.
heck yeah, man.
Heck yeah.
If you see Shawn just absolutely jacked out of his mind, it's not steroids. It's just working for Josh the Snow Stack.
Hey, if you're in Tulsa, come get a snow cone. And yeah, I make the best snow cones.
What's the secret? Or is that like
Sugar.
the
Sugar is the secret.
he sits there
Bro,
with like a bag
we
of
put
sugar and dumps them?
so much sugar in those things.
Dude, yeah.
Holy balls, dude.
Yeah, you feel
We put,
great when you eat them, and then afterwards you eventually crash and you go, "Oh,
well,
what
here's
the
the
heck?"
thing, bro. I like pound those suckers now, so
Do
like
you?
it doesn't really affect me, but like our large snow cones have like 120 grams of sugar in
That's wild.
them.
And Shawn
And
actually
people,
sits there with a bag of sugar and dumps more on top.
yes, we have a 5 gallon of sugar water that we use to fill up the snow cone
Jesus. Do you
juice.
ever mix the sugar water? Like,
Like mix,
do you know the amount of sugar to water like that gets
yes.
added? Okay, what's the sugar to water for this?
So like your standard like thing of sugar,
Yeah, bag of sugar. Yeah.
bag of sugar per gallon.
Holy crap. In a 5 gallon
So
bucket.
the 5 gallon has 5 bags of sugar
Ooh,
in it.
ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey kids, if you need some quick carbs, go down to Joe's Snow Shack.
Josh's Snow
Josh's
Shack.
Snow Shack.
It's
Joe's.
cracked, dude.
Josh's Snow Shack. Dude, if you guys are looking for a little pick me up during your runs in Tulsa, stop by Josh's Snow Shack. You get some quick sugar straight to the dome, 200 milligrams of sugar, actually 200 grams of sugar. We don't work in milligrams at Josh's Snow Shack.
Yeah, it's something.
Oh, Lord. Well, on that bombshell, it's time to end.
All right. Peace
See
out.
ya, everybody.